It's officially that time of year. We got Duke basketball back in our lives. Countdown to Craziness was so much fun to watch. Now we've got exhibition games coming up, and I think a lot of people are going to be buying stock in Jon Scheyer's team going into the season.
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man. The Locked On Blue Devils with J.J. Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson. It's so great to have you here with us today on Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. Locked On Blue Devils is your one-stop shop where we discuss everything going on inside the life of Duke athletics. On today's show, more Countdown to Craziness reaction with play-by-play voice Chris Edwards, who was on the call for Countdown. Excited to hear his thoughts on the action this past Friday night. We'll get to him in just a moment. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Be sure to leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Remember that you can watch our show daily, each and every day on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share this video with your friends. Like it, and we appreciate the growth that we're seeing each and every day here on Locked On Blue Devils. Follow us on X at LO_Blue Devils, or Instagram and TikTok as well. So without further ado, let's bring him on into the program. One of our good friends, Chris Edwards, back with us once again. And Chris, anytime I see you, I know that basketball season is right around the corner, man. I hope you're doing well.
Doing great, JJ. Thanks for having me on, as always. Hard to believe, isn't it, that it's already time for hoops? I feel like it's earlier and earlier every year, and as a matter of fact, that's true. This was the earliest countdown to craziness ever, beating last year's record. So I think we beat the record by a day this year. So excited to have Duke basketball back, and it should be a fun winter in Durham.
Yeah, I mean, just a couple of days into October. Now we've got ACC tip-off taking place this week there in Charlotte with Media Day festivities off and running for the team. Then they'll have exhibitions get set. Before you know it, the games will actually mean something. They'll count for something here. So I definitely want to dive into Countdown on Friday night and some of the overall bigger takeaways that were had. You, of course, were on the call there. People were able to log on to the ESPN app, ACC Network Extra coverage, and hear your voice, bringing them the women's basketball action. Then there was the three-point contest we saw for Duke men's basketball. Then we saw the 12-minute action from the team, all the player introductions. When you sum up all of it, man, what did you take away from Friday night?
It was exciting for sure. Yeah, I think it was one of the more exciting ones that we've had. I think the last couple of years have had a lot of excitement, right? Well, probably more than a couple. But you think about last year with Cooper Flagg and his debut, and then this year with the highly touted freshman class. Again, Coach Scheyer brings in the nation's #1 recruiting class. But then the returners that are back too. You think of guys like Caleb Foster or Isaiah Evans, really that entire sophomore class. And I know Caleb's a junior, but the sophomore class and the jump that they took from last year to this year, look how much stronger Isaiah Evans is. That was well documented in the offseason. The freshman class lived up to the billing. Of course, the Boozer twins. I think those are the headline grabbers, the two Boozers. But I was really impressed by Dame Sarr. I thought he had a really nice game. For his squad. I forget, was he on the blue team or the white team? It doesn't matter, but I thought he played really well. And speaking of sophomores, Patrick Gungba, how good was he? 9 points. He stepped out, hit a big three. I think Gumba's going to be a big key for the Blue Devils this year as well. So overall, I really like this Duke team. They've got some size. Coach Scheyer talked about that in his preseason press conference. But more than that, I mean, they can still shoot the three. They made 12 three-pointers. And I know it's countdown, and you can say, oh, well, there was no defense. Well, there was. I thought these guys got after it, and they got after each other in front of the Cameron Crazies. So I am very bullish on the Blue Devils after just seeing Coach Scheyer's team for 12 minutes last Friday night.
Well, I'm there with you. It was super exciting just to watch all the action and get a chance to see these guys in Duke uniform. We see clips over the course of the summer, but to actually see them in the official uniform and be introduced, the Crazies going wild and whatnot. I also, you look at last year's squad, it's hard to level up to that, man. A team that wins the ACC, they go all the way to the Final Four. They're top 5 in offense and defensive rating. And here you go, you open up play Friday, and it's a team that known for shooting last year. Well, Chris, they go 12 of 23. I mean, they're better than 50% from the outside. They started something crazy, like 8 of their first 10.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt like everybody was hitting and taking shots, making them from. I know you mentioned Gongba, but man, the overall shooting was impressive.
Isaiah Evans hit 3 threes in the game, JJ. I mean, just look around. I mean, Cameron Booster stepped out, hit a 3. Like, there's so many guys on this roster that have range and have shooting ability. So I think that's exciting. You know, Coach Scheyer talked about this is going to be a bigger team, and it's important to have size, and maybe it's going to look a little different than it's looked in the past. Yeah, maybe they're not going to run as much, or they're going to pick their moments, right? But man, if you make 12 threes every night, I feel pretty good about your chances to win every game. And to that point, just so many guys, and I think Coach has got confidence in everybody to step out and hit a 3. You know, we talked about how good the team looked. Let's remember that Malik Brown didn't even play in Countdown. He's still got that little bit of an injury. Should be back very soon. But imagine how much different this team is going to look when Malik gets back in there.
Yeah, bigger this season. You know, functionally, Duke's a team that can play through the post. Wild to say that when you know that last season Duke was the tallest team in America, and here they are once again with a squad that doesn't have a scholarship guy under 6'4", 6'5". You lose the true behemoth in Kaman Malawach, but to your point, what Gongba's doing, scoring in the post, featuring Malik Brown down there, Cam Boozer is going to be able to score from all 3 levels. Functionally, it's a little bit easier to picture what Jon Scheyer says, because when I first heard that, it's like, wait a minute. This was a team that was already the tallest team in America. How in the world can they be bigger? But I guess it's where they're going to be able to create offense and things like that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think this is a credit to a lot of the guys that have come back too, right? Like a lot of these sophomores that have taken that step. And we talked about Isaiah Evans and the way that he spent the summer kind of reshaping his body. Gungba is in in a similar vein. Like, you know, now these guys know what it's like to play in the ACC. How physical this league is on a night in, night out basis. And I think that, hey, we've been through the wars. We've been through those battles for one season. Now we know what it takes and the toll that it can take on your body. And a huge shout out to the sports performance staff to get these guys ready to go. And Coach even said it, like, they've done the work to this point. They've just got to keep doing the work now as the season is right upon us.
Big time stuff from Duke at Countdown to Craziness on Friday. Again, we mentioned the outside shooting from everybody and getting to see how they would mix up the lineups and whatnot. Our first look at several of the freshmen, and Cameron Boozer is going to steal a whole lot of headlines this season, Chris, and rightfully so. I mean, he knocks down shots from the outside. He had a takeaway and then a coast-to-coast Euro step finish on the other end. I figure we're going to be saying a lot of really impressive things about Cam Boozer throughout the course of the year.
I think so, and probably all the other freshmen as well. I don't know that. Yeah, you can single out Cameron for sure, right? Because he's going to be the attention grabber. But I think it's the entire class. I mean, I think there are going to be guys that have impactful nights every single time out. It might be a different guy. I was really impressed with Nicholas Haminian, who stepped out and hit a couple of big threes, the freshman from Los Angeles. I think he's going to be a really key piece for Coach Scheyer's team as well. We haven't even talked a lot about Caden Boozer, Cameron's brother. I mean, I thought he was big. He's going to handle some of the ball handling duties, I think, for the Blue Devils at times this year. So there's depth. I mean, yes, it's young depth, but it's also experienced depth too. And Coach Scheyer talked about how they wanted to build that with that depth that they had created last year and build it the right way. And the Blue Devils are certainly, I think, doing that.
Yeah, a whole lot of hype on Dame Sarr in this freshman class, as you alluded to. Didn't have the biggest offensive night, had a couple of shots altered there at the rim, but that's going against the size. And then the final freshman, Chris, is Sebastian Wilkins, who starts the night with a three-point shot in the corner, ends the night with a three-point shot in the corner. We had the Elam ending to Countdown to Craziness. What was that like? I mean, as folks are watching, they're having to listen to you explain to them what this looked, because so many people aren't familiar with the formats that they might see something like this. To be in the moment, what was that like?
Well, you know, I wasn't familiar with it either until about 3 or 4 days before, and they said, we're doing this ending. And I said, what is this? So I had to learn for myself, but I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a great way to end because now it gives you like a target score, right? So it was whatever the winning team was at their score, whatever it was, +8, right? So I think we had to get to like 33, I think was where we had to get to. And with the first team to get to 33 from where they were playing, won the game. So it gave you something to kind of look forward to. I'm going to borrow a baseball analogy if I could. It was like, it's like having a walk-off winner. You know what I mean? Like somebody had a chance to be the walk-off hero of Countdown. And I thought that was pretty cool. It was an exciting time for the fans. I thought it was a great way to end Countdown. Just a lot of fun. And I took that away. That event is so much fun just to get everybody out there, to get reacclimated to Cameron. And here we go. It's time for another season of Duke basketball.
And Sebastian Wilkins, the freshman of it all, to knock it down and win it for Duke. That, however, wasn't one. Go ahead.
No, I was just a comment on Wilkins real quick because I thought it was really cool. I read a story last week about how he grew up being such a diehard Duke fan.
Right.
Said he remembers watching when Zion was at Duke, and that's how he first kind of became a Duke fan. And he always wanted to be a Blue Devil, and now he is. And now to start his career, and he hits the 3 to end Countdown. Pretty fun way to start your freshman season.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of exciting plays from him. A lot of them above the rim. So the fact that we got to see them, his outside shot a little bit, I think was really, really impressive. However, when you look at Countdown as a whole, there were some bigger moments that got fan reactions. What is Jayson Tatum doing at Countdown to Craziness? Let's start to dive into that here after we take our first time out on the program. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid with those decisions. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections, things like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley's rushing touchdowns, and you're in the game. It's that simple. All you've got to do is set and make your lineup. You can do it in as quickly as a minute. It's also fun to follow how other players in the app and copy their lineups with one pick. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils is also brought to you by our friends over at Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else. From footwork to breath work, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same intention to how we craft every single model. You could feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make every drive feel anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move or be moved, a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. All right, welcome back into the show. I've got Chris Edwards here of the Blue Devil Network, and he was on the call for Friday night's action at Countdown to Craziness. Our little tease there going to break was a moment in player introductions where you feel like you saw everybody. All the players on the roster were introduced. Hand the microphone to head coach Jon Scheyer, and he brings out Jayson Tatum.
Yeah.
That was fun to watch those events unfold, Chris.
Very cool, JJ. And I don't know that many people – there are a few that knew, but most people did not know that Jayson was going to be in the building. And Coach Scheyer, a little foreshadowing, said he's going to be helping us out this year. And then we get the announcement earlier this week that he is going to be serving in a bigger role with this Duke basketball program this season.
Yeah, that was when he said that at first. It's like, what does this mean? It's how do you make these connections happen? And certainly we'll get to that announcement in just a moment. But just for fans to see Jayson Tatum back in the building, we see all the footage of him at K Academy and checking in on the team when they're out on the road and all the various things. But they mentioned he hadn't been back inside Cameron Indoor with all the fans there really since he was a player. So to be back there and then sit courtside for the action with Jon Scheyer, the assistant coaches were coaching a game. Sheyer's over there kind of watching it all. And he's got top recruits, 5-star players in the country that just so happen to see Jayson Tatum stroll up and sit with him. That's
pretty good to have in your back pocket, isn't it? Yeah. The brotherhood is strong for sure.
Yes, you win the recruiting battle when that happens. So
without a doubt.
Here we go. We've got the announcement. Tatum is the chief basketball officer. Duke says he'll serve as a special advisor to the head coach, bringing a wealth of professional basketball experience and championship level insight for Duke basketball and head coach Jon Scheyer. Jayson will leverage his career success to provide perspective and guidance on basketball development, leadership, and life as a successful athlete, leaning on his lessons that he first learned at Duke. Duke basketball leads the country and the sport and just making all of these innovative decisions. And here we are with a all-NBA, all-star level player, one of the best basketball players in the world, who's now back on staff.
Yeah, and to your point about the way Coach Scheyer is reimagining the landscape of college sports and college basketball, Duke was the first to have a general manager for their basketball program when Coach Scheyer hired Rachel Baker right after he got hired, replacing Coach K. So this is just another step in that progression, I think, of Coach Scheyer, just reimagining what the landscape looks like in this ever-evolving landscape of college athletics. And to have a guy listen, he's not retiring. He's still going to go out there and play every single night, but he's going to be there to help mentor this group of Blue Devils. And I think it shows you the commitment that Duke has made to Jayson and what it means in his life. I don't want to speak for anybody. I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody about this, but just looking from a 30,000 foot kind of outside the door, what these two entities mean to one another, what Jayson means to Duke and what Duke means to him, to be able to have the opportunity to come back and then mentor the next generation of basketball players. Nobody else is doing stuff like this, JJ. How awesome is that?
Duke sets the standard.
Yeah.
It's just different and really fun to see all this come together. We saw Duke basketball released about a 10-minute podcast with Jayson Tatum and Jon Scheyer chopping it up, talking a little bit about what this role would be. And then I really appreciated the footage that we saw of Tatum kind of mic'd up in the locker room with the players on Friday night at Countdown and talking about, I am still a player, but I want to be here as a resource for you guys, knowing that they want to make it to the next level. Good games, bad games. He's going to be watching it all. I love that in that clip he highlights, you've got questions about NIL or agents or just everything. Like, he's actively navigating all of those professional obligations. And that's just now something that I'm sure college basketball players, particularly at Duke, are going to have to go through. And so why not bring in one of the figures of the sport in the entire world to help you out when it comes to those things? A lot of the off the court stuff, I think, will be truly valuable.
And he's been through it all. I mean, there's going to be nothing that surprises him about what these guys face on a day in, day out basis. I mean, it's so hard to be a college athlete in general. It's so hard to be a college athlete at Duke. It's even harder to be a college basketball player at Duke. And then you've got all the other stuff, off the court, the NIL, the all the other stuff that comes with it. But to have someone that's been through it, that has done it and done it at the highest level as your role model, as someone you can pick up the phone and call or text, how great is that? I mean, it's stuff that I think a lot of people across the country wish that they could have a mentor like that, just basically on speed dial.
Yep. Tatum, of course, getting set for her 9th year in the NBA. Crazy. He's nearly a decade in at this point. Had that torn Achilles in the playoffs this past season, but good to hear that he's ahead of schedule in the rehab process. Still a few months away from getting back on the court and playing in games, but he's starting workouts again. And so what a fun moment that was for Duke fans to see JT back in the building. All right, we're going to take one more time out here on the show and then some more countdown to craziness thoughts with Chris Edwards when Locked On Blue Devils continues here in a moment. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture in mind, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. It does the heavy lifting. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visualization on your spending, and finally feel in control. I love Monarch Money, and using it, I'm able to see how I budget and seeing how much I spend on things like food delivery. So now I'm able to budget smarter and save a whole lot more. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. Monarch Money is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. All right, talking countdown to craziness with Chris Edwards of the Blue Devil Network. Of course, you can hear all of his play-by-play coverage of Duke women's basketball, and they were able to be showcased, and we'll get to them here in just a moment. Before the basketball game on the men's side got going. Chris teased it a little bit ago. We talked about the impressive shooting display from Duke in the actual 12-minute scrimmage, but they brought back the three-point contest.
Yes.
And also featured Chris Carrawell, the associate head coach.
Who can still shoot it.
Can still shoot it, man. Can still shoot it. What was that like?
It looked like it was like the early 2000s, and he's out there just banging threes all around. I thought he was going to win there for a little while. He got a little hung up there on the left wing.
And the top of the key, he went over at the top of the key, which is a little surprised. But the corner shots, he still had it.
He still had it. You can still picture. I'm old enough to still picture like the drive and kick to Carrawell in the corner, and then Bob Harris on the radio. Carrawell for three bottoms. It's seared in my brain. And he had the Carrawell jersey on. I don't know if that was the jersey that he wore when he played, but it still fit. It looked pretty good.
Looked great.
That was awesome. That was one of the highlights of the whole night for me, was seeing Coach out there just knocking down some shots. I loved it.
I made sure to pay attention, too, throughout the action. Like, once it was over, I was thinking, all right, is he going to take this off and just go back to the normal coach? No, he wore it the rest of the night. And I love it. I love it. It was
great.
Made it way easier to spot him. It's like, there's the 23 Carrawell jersey down
Relive the glory days a little bit, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
more of that.
Yes. So we saw the three-point contest. It's been there before, but it's been several years since Countdown featured it. Duke apparently had the players kind of go through a shooting contest early on in the week, and then the top two scorers got to advance to the action.
Yeah, then the winner of that got to face Coach Carrawell in like a winner-take-all, ultimate bragging rights, and Coach came up just a little bit short. So believe it was Darren, wasn't it?
Yes.
And one, yeah.
And Darren Harris ended on 17 straight makes.
Pretty good.
It was like 22-18. Darren Harris over Caleb Foster, but 17 straight from Darren Harris to.
He was on fire. Like obviously couldn't miss, and it was like every one. They didn't even touch the rim. It was just pure every single one.
Well, and then with Darren specifically in the game, he starts it off with a pull-up jumper there from the elbow. Had a three-point shot he knocked down in the corner. Got fouled on a three-pointer. Made all three free throws. So finished the night with 8 points. This is a guy that in today's day and age, good on Duke, good on Darren Harris for not transferring. When you look at the freshman class, he was the least used of the freshmen a season ago. But, Chris, when you can shoot it like that, man, there's clearly going to be a role on this team. Darren Harris will play.
For sure. And Coach Scheyer talked about him in the preseason as well, about another guy. We talked about Isaiah Evans, but Darren Harris is another guy that really worked all summer long on his body, got himself in better shape, just committed to the process. And Coach said, hey, he's got to keep doing those kind of things. But Coach Scheyer loves where he's at coming out of the summer and heading into the first exhibition game in about a week and a half.
All right. We mentioned on the women's side of things, the sisterhood in full swing. They were showcased. Quick thoughts on this, the women's team.
Yeah, really deep. A lot of experiences back. I mean, almost everybody back from that team that went to the Elite Eight last year. You add in Emily Skinner, one of the best recruits in the country, who was on display in Countdown last Friday. Riley Nelson is back after being out last year with that injury, transferring from Maryland. Ari Roberson is also scheduled to be back for the Blue Devils this year. Another presence inside to add to players like Toby Fournier, who was the ACC Rookie of the Year a season ago. I'm really bullish on the Blue Devils, JJ. I think this is probably the best team that Coach Lawson has had, which is saying something considering Duke went to the Sweet 16, then won the ACC and went to the Elite Eight last year. I mean, listen, a lot's got to go right. You've got to stay healthy. You got to get lucky. But I think this is a Duke team that is capable of making a really deep run in the NCAA tournament. Very challenging non-conference schedule as well. We'll learn a lot about the Blue Devils, and they'll learn a lot about themselves in the months of November and December. But I am really excited about this team. I think it's going to be a great year for Duke basketball, men's and women's. And so we hope that all the folks who are watching or listening around the country, when Duke's in town, come on out and see us, because it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and we're going to learn a whole lot more about this club from you. You'll join us here in a few weeks when we get set for the season once it officially gets going again. Now, Countdown's out of the way, the earliest it's ever been. We'll have some exhibitions, and then both of these teams will get off and running. I do, though, want to hear from you. One of the biggest stories of the summer regarding Duke athletics and specifically Duke women's basketball, Carol Lawson is named the head coach of Team USA as they get set for the 2020 Olympics. That'll be here stateside. What did that mean? What does that mean? And how big is this for Duke?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, Coach K did this obviously on the men's side several years ago, and I think Coach Lawson is, the perfect person to lead our country. I mean, nobody has done a better job representing our country in the Olympics. She won gold as a player,
Yep.
as assistant coach in the last Olympics, as a head coach with a 3x3 team a couple of Olympics ago. I'm so pumped for Coach, and obviously it's huge for the program, huge for Duke. I was able to be there at the press conference a couple of weeks ago and see Sue Bird and all the other dignitaries that were there to welcome Coach Lawson. It was awesome, and obviously an emotional day for Coach, sure. And just the way that she goes about everything that she does, 1,000%, all in, she's going to be great. And I have no doubt that America is going to win gold again, stateside in 2028 in LA.
Yeah, it's just wild to think about. You mentioned Coach K and the run that he had as the head coach and the recruiting benefits that you get from there and the stories he's able to share about all the greats. Duke still has Grant Hill as the overall managing director of USA Basketball right now. So now you've got Carrawell Lawson coaching the women's team. The recruiting benefits of it all are absolutely amazing. So it's here. It's a great feeling knowing that basketball season is in full gear. And again, we've talked a lot about the men's team. Jon Scheyer getting set for his 4th season as head coach. That's kind of crazy.
It is. Time flies, JJ.
4 college years. Yeah.
The older you get, the quicker it goes.
Yes. And so now we've got Jon Scheyer. And I tell you what, man, watching this guy speak over the course of the summer and talk about this team in particular and just his years and experience already as a head coach, a home run. Not that we're questioning any hire that follows Mike Krzyzewski, but look at sports, man. There have been so many icons in the last few years that do hang it up, and it's so hard to find the next guy. And Jon Scheyer goes out and he 89 wins his first 3 years. It's tied for the best spot anyone has ever had in the sport. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's gonna get better. I mean, this is just the beginning, right? Like, Coach got the extension right before countdown as well, so he's going to be at Duke for a long time, which is the perfect fit. And man, it's just a start. I mean, think about what Coach Scheyer has done in the first 3 years: a Final Four, an Elite Eight, a couple of ACC titles, and he continues to get the nation's number 1, number 2 recruiting class. And the way he continues to innovate and just reimagine the sport, like we talked about earlier with Jayson Tatum, and then Rachel Baker as the GM, the first GM in college sports history. Now everybody has followed suit, right? The sky's the limit, and I'm just excited to watch this team because I think, as I've told you before, they're going to have a really deep run this season.
Well, we're going to be following along with everything that you do there with the Blue Devil Network, both on the men's and women's side, and then you've all ACC Network Extra when people want to check in on volleyball and soccer and all the things going on. But all your work specifically, Chris, another season around the corner. It's a Duke football team that people love listening to Shoemate this time of year, getting hot at the right time going into their bye week. How can people best get involved and listen to all the coverage?
Yeah, all the coverage is online on the Varsity Network app. It's a free download. Just download the app. You can make Duke your favorite team. You can listen to all the football, men's and women's broadcasts as well. Of course, our TV coverage on ACC Network Extras on the ESPN app. So look forward to seeing everyone and having them join in throughout the winter.
Awesome, Chris. We'll talk again soon, okay? Thanks for being here today.
JJ. Thank you so much.
That's Chris Edwards joining us here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils, and that's going to bring us to a close here on the action today. Always exciting to talk Duke basketball, knowing that it's right around the corner. Thanks so much to Chris for joining us on the show. Be sure to subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils wherever it is that you get your podcast. Also subscribe to us on YouTube. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.